Hello there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Doug and I have another fountain pen video for you today. This is not an unboxing because I already unpackaged it. And I'm lying a little bit here too because I've ordered this Picasso fountain pen and I already own a Picasso pen case. So I took the Picasso 915 that I own already out of the case and put the new one in this case. Now I didn't buy the new one with a case because I already have this one, but you can get this case with it for a couple of extra bucks. So I thought I'd display it in this nice Picasso case. So it is a kind of a leatherette. It's a vinyl, but a leatherette cardboard hinge top, and it has a really nice pillow rest for the pen, and there's some documentation and a little card that come in here as well. So the case that comes with this is the Picasso 975. And the case that comes with this is slightly different. It's a little bit more blonde and has some wood around here. But I believe it comes with the same kind of accoutrement. Let's take the pen out. It comes in a pen sleeve. I just ordered the pen, so it came in a regular pen black sleeve. And here is the fountain pen. I got this on Etsy, on Easy Buy, Etsy, and I got it because it looks so much similar to my PenBBS 308 Amber as a Cat. Here's the Amber as a Cat, and you can see the beautiful chatoyancy on that acrylic resin, and this has some really nice chatoyancy as well. It's a fairly light pen. I'll do some measurements and put those up in the screen in a bit, but let's take a look at this. It has a clip that extends from inside the cap, and you can, because it's translucent, you can kind of see where it comes from here. It looks like there's a bracket in there or something. It has the Picasso logo right there on the end of the clip. The clip is rather stiff but usable. There's no cap band. There is a bit of a step down from the cap to the body, and it tapers down to a fairly blunt end compared to the 308, which goes down to a point end. So let's open this up and see. 1, 2, 3. 3 full turns to get the cap off, which is quite a bit. And what we find is what looks like a number 5 gold nib. Let's see whether I can focus in on this. And it has the Picasso logo. And I can't see what that says. I have to get my magnifying glass out. See what it says here. Yep, that's an F. So it's a fine number 5 nib. The section is slightly concave and the same color as the body, which is nice. That always gets pluses in my book. A standard plastic feed. And there's a rather sharp step right there. And the threads feel rather sharp as well. So let's see if it posts. It does post, and fairly deeply, although that cap is so light that it doesn't back weight the pen at all. So if you're fond of posting, this pen feels like it will write very nicely with that posted. Let's open this up, and we see a standard international converter, which has the Picasso logo on it. And we see the end of the nib assembly there. And a metal band around the end of the converter, which is always good. Reinforcement. I don't know. Yep, and that's it. Unscrews, so it's one of those converters you can take apart and clean out, which is always good. And I don't see any metal parts, so yes, I was wondering whether this would be eyedropperable, but there is no rubber O-ring there. So we'll have to see how well those threads with a little silicone grease will hold the ink in. Really nice translucency. You can see through that body pretty nicely, so the ink will show up just like in the Amber as a Cat. See how it's gone darker there with the ink inside it? It feels very thin though. The resin feels thin. I believe it is resin, but it feels more like plastic when you're unscrewing it. It just doesn't have the density that the PenBBS does. Now there's a screw at the end of that cap, but I don't see a cap liner. There's a step there. And we'll have to see whether this nib assembly comes out. Let me give it a turn here and see. It doesn't turn, but it does slide out. So it looks like the nib assembly in there with its keyed flat on the bottom, but it looks like that's stuck in there pretty good. And I'll have to do some comparisons with my other number 5s and see whether this nib is replaceable. I have a couple of number 5 replacements in case this one is no good. Well, that's good that that nib and feed come out of there nicely. With the flat, line up the flat. So, as usual, I'm going to flush this pen out with a little bit of soap and water, dry it up, and then I'm going to try eyedroppering this. We'll select an ink that might work for it, and we'll do some size comparisons and some measurements, and then a writing sample. Okay, here we are back with the Picasso 975, and we'll do a writing sample. I have written with this pen for the last couple of days, and I'm actually really enjoying it. But I think it's time to do a writing sample for you and to do an evaluation. This is the Picasso 975. It is a fine nib, and this is in the amber color. The ink I've decided to put into this pen is Shizuku Kon-Peki. This is one of my very favorite inks. And let's see, as you can probably tell, this is a very wet white writer. Very wet writer. It is also very smooth. I'll let you listen to the nib on the paper. There's a bit of feedback. Which is actually very, very pleasant. So, let's do a little bit of writing here. Very smooth, very pleasant. It also, because it's so wet, it keeps up very nicely. So, as you can see, it's keeping up very, very nicely. There isn't any line variation, which I didn't expect. It does reverse a little bit if that's what you're into. So, I think it's time to do an evaluation of this pen. Now, I use a 4-category evaluation guide for myself. I've sort of adapted from Chris Rapp. And there are 4 categories: design and build, writing and feel, the overall look, and the overall value of the pen. Each one of these categories is out of 4, with 0 being an absolute failure, 1 being below average, 2 being just okay, 3 being above average, and 4 being absolute perfection. So let's look at design and build first of all. This pen is really, really elegant. I find it is styled beautifully, especially like this clip, which has a sort of a deco feel to it, and although you can't make it out too well, but the Picasso logo is stamped in there. The nib is beautiful, even if it is small. The section has the same material as the body and the cap, and the material is just lovely. It's just got as much chatoyance and depth as my Amber as a Cat 308 from PenBBS, which I love so much. But those are the positives. The negatives are that these threads are quite sharp, and that step is quite pronounced. And even though the section, the concave section, is plenty big enough, because of the small girth of this pen, I find it rather uncomfortable to hold down here. So I tend to hold it back here, where it's a little bit meatier, and then I get into that step, which makes me push it even further back. So I wrote with it for quite a while, and I found that I was shifting around a lot. So it's unfortunate, but other than the looks of this pen, the feel is just a bit uncomfortable for me. For those of you that have smaller hands, I no doubt expect that you'd be able to hold it here, and it would be a lovely writer. It posts beautifully. You can write with it posted or unposted, and it doesn't offset the balance of the pen. So a couple of things, the threads and the step and the smallish nib. I think a number 6 nib would be quite lovely in this pen. Another design feature which I really like is that there's no metal in the section or the body, so you can eyedropper this pen, and it takes quite a bit of ink, 3.5 milliliters of ink, which I really like. But overall, I'm going to give it, for design and build, a 3 out of 4. In terms of writing and feel, of course, that design and the build quality of this affects the feel of this pen. It is very well balanced, but it's a little bit small for my hand, and it makes it a little bit difficult to write with it for an extended period of time. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 4 for the writing and feel. And then in terms of overall look, I can't find anything negative about this pen. It's just gorgeous. So a full 4 out of 4 for that, full marks. As to value, the pen, I got it for $38.99 US plus shipping, and that's rather expensive for a Chinese-built pen. I know Picasso says they're a French company, but they are made in China, and that's really pricey, especially when you know you can get a 308, the amber as a cat. This pen here with a number 6 nib, eyedropperable with a rubber O-ring on it as well, and every bit as beautiful as this pen, for $29.99 plus shipping US. So in terms of value, I have to ding it a bit, but it's still a beautiful pen that writes extremely well. So let's give it a 3 out of 4 for value, and that gives us 13 out of 16. Beautiful fountain pen. I'm actually glad I bought it, even though it was a bit pricey. And as always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit subscribe and ring that bell if you want to be informed of any new videos coming out. That's all she wrote.